Hello and welcome to Evolution IAS. Yesterday we started most important current affairs series for UPSC Prelims 2020. It was our lecture 1. Today is our lecture 2 class 2. Yesterday हमने जो मार्च में रिपोर्ट्स, इंडाइसेस, रैंक से रिलेटेड जितनी भी न्यूज़ आई थी जो आपके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट थी उसको हमने कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली कवर किया था और बाकी जो कुछ एक्स्ट्रा इन्फॉर्मेशन थी वो भी आपको हमने दी थी और हमने देखा कि यू पीपल हैव कमेंटेड इन द कमेंट सेक्शन and the comments are very good. Some people have provided the accurate correct information and point wise. That's very beautiful. Please continue that because someone reading those comments will gain extra knowledge, and also if you comment, you do the research, your revision will be done automatically. So continue with that. I will ask some questions today also. So we will continue with the same topic, ranks, indices and reports, but the month will be April. But the April had so many reports, indices and ranks that we needed to divide the April month in two sections. So in this lecture, we will be doing these 5 topics, and in the next lecture, we will be doing the remaining 5 to 7 topics, and that will come tomorrow. So in this class, what we have to study? First of all, we have to do the World Press Freedom Index. World Press Freedom Index is released by an NGO named as Reporters Without Borders. Second is Global Report on Internal Displacement. Internal displacement, okay, not external or refugee displacement. It is about internal displacement. This report is released by Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, that is a part of Norwegian Refugee Council. And the third report is a Special 301 report. This report deals with intellectual property rights, and USA has authorship or authority over it, and the organization of the US releasing it is government organization USTR, United States Trade Representative. Then comes our fourth topic, ट्रेंड्स इन वर्ल्ड मिलिट्री एक्सपेंडिचर. इस रिपोर्ट में हमें वर्ल्ड में मिलिट्री एक्सपेंडिचर जो है ओवरऑल ग्लोबल लेवल पे जीडीपी का कितना प्रोपोर्शन में है, फिर नेशनल लेवल पे कितना का है. तो वी विल सी द ग्लोबल सिनेरियो एंड देन वी विल कम टू इंडियन सिनेरियो. एंड दिस रिपोर्ट एज सेड ऑलरेडी हियर इज रिलीज बाय सिप्री, एंड आई विल टेल यू व्हाट द सिप्री सेपरेटली, डोंट वरी. ग्लोबल टेररिज्म इंडेक्स. This Global Terrorism Index is released by an Australia-based organization. So these are the 5 topics we have to do in this lecture. Probably we will be taking 30 to 35 minutes, maybe 25 minutes also. And please wait for the last minutes of this lecture because I will be giving you one extra information that will be a bonus. So wait for that and let's start with the lecture. So press freedom already is in news. So that's very relevant for your prelims examination. World Press Freedom Index 2020 or Global Press Freedom Index 2020, it is released by a non-profit Paris-based organization. That means an NGO which is situated in Paris, and the name of the NGO is Reporters Without Borders. But can you see the abbreviation? Abbreviation is RSF, and here I am saying Reporters Without Borders, so it should have been RWB, but it is RSF. I will tell you why. Actually, this is Paris-based organization, and the actual name is RSF only. I will tell you the full form in the next slide, don't worry. But when we translate it in English, it becomes Reporters Without Borders. Okay, so what is the ranking situation? At the global level, see the Nordic countries always ahead. So Norway is ranked at first position. We have so much of press freedom in the Norway that it is at first position. Whole of the region of South Asia as a whole is generally on the lower side of the index. If you see Pakistan has dropped 3 places from the previous ranking of 2019 and its place is 145. Bangladesh also dropped and became 150 first place, and China 177 positions, 177 position, yes. And North Korea, which has the least World Press Freedom Index, that is placed at 180th place. China is just 3 places above that. So you can see the situation in South Asia. Whether South Asia, we are not including China, still our nearby country, okay, nearby country. So China 177, Pakistan, Bangladesh all have the lower rank in this index, and North Korea is at the bottom and Norway is at the top. What about India? India also has a problem. We know that press freedom index in India, it will be scoring low because we are having the situation of some problematic situation in press freedom. So India is ranked at 142, and the problem is that last time India was ranked at 140 place. So that means that there is a decline of 2 ranks, okay, 140 in 2019 and 142 in 2020. Now you must remember that this World Press Freedom Index is released by Reporters Without Borders. That organization very clearly mentioned that our Press Freedom Index deals with press freedom only, and it does not say anything about the quality of journalism and also not about the human right violation in general in that particular country. So we are talking about the press freedom only. We are not looking into violation of human rights or journalism quality. No, not that. Okay. In index 180 countries are present and also some regions. So we in regions we will see, for example, Middle East, South Asia, and in countries we have 180 countries. And which country is at 180 place? That is North Korea, a totally authoritarian country. This is the color coding of this press freedom index. This is 2020 color coding. So you can see the good situation blue colored Nordic countries. Norway, see the most blue, dark blue, that's why at the rank 1. India, you would like to know about India. So India is in difficult situation color coding, and China very serious situation. You can see the North Korea very serious situation. So these are the press freedom index. And also you can see this country, obviously this is Iraq. So Iraq has a problem. Sorry, Saudi Arabia has a problem. Iraq also has a problem, and these are also placed in difficult situation countries. So we came to know about World Press Freedom Index. But I always tell you which organization releases which report. That is very important for UPSC. So first of all, this World Press Freedom Index started to be released in 2002, and the organization publishing it in English, it is called Reporters Without Borders. But you can see the abbreviation RSF. It is because the French name is Reporters Sans Frontières. Sans means without, okay, without. So global reporters, okay, Reporters Sans Frontières. It is a legal term also in your jurisdiction, judiciary. Remember that, sans. So Reporters Sans Frontières, that is the original name. That is why RSF. It is based in Paris, I already told you, and it is an independent NGO, not connected with the government, so that partial indexing is done. It is an NGO. What are the parameters? Parameters include pluralism, that not only communist. For example, in China, only the communist newspapers, whether it is Global Times or Xinhua, so it is only communist newspaper. No, there should be pluralism. Media should have independence. Media environment is present or not. Self-censorship. Self-censorship was what? Before publication itself, if the publisher censors himself out of the fear from the government, that is called self-censorship. That I will not publish this particular thing. If I publish, I will have some repercussions. My publication might be affected by the government policies or government action. So that's why people do self-censorship, and that is not appreciated. That is a very bad thing. Legislative framework, okay, for the protection of the journalism. Transparency and the quality of the infrastructure that supports the production of news and information. For example, suppose a newspaper is being published from Delhi, and tomorrow the government comes and says that you are publishing something very much against us. So the license you have got in this particular area to operate your newspaper office, we are taking that off, and you have to evade that place, you have to leave that place. So that is having the problem of not providing the infrastructure. That was in a small example. Anyway, why do I teach these things? World Press Freedom Index is released by Reporters Without Borders and NGO and all, because see, this question came in UPSC 2017, and the question was, what is Médecins Sans Frontières? See, similarity, Reporters Sans Frontières, and this is Médecins Sans Frontières. Options were so many. Now the option was, the real answer was Medicines Without Borders. It means Medicines Without Borders or Doctors Without Borders actually. Sans means without. So the answer was B, a non-governmental organization which specializes in international humanitarian aid and emergency medical assistance. Okay, if you know the French name, you will supposedly derive it the right answer anyway, even if you don't know anything. This is not connected with United Nations organization, and also this particular Reporters Sans Frontières is also not connected with UN. Remember that. These both are NGOs. Now a long but very important topic, Global Report on Internal Displacement 2020. First of all, which organization publishes it? This publication, Global Report on Internal Displacement 2020, it is published annually. हर साल आता है और इसको publish करती है Internal Displacement Monitoring Center. I will tell you about that organization later. Internal Displacement Monitoring Center. So first of all, see what is the global scenario about internal displacement. First of all, you should know that what is internal displacement. People getting themselves displaced, or they may be forced to get displaced within the boundary of the country only. That is called displacement. If they go outside country, that is called being a refugee. The problem is that for the people shifting or migrating in own country in some tragic situation that will be called internal displacement, and the international treaties which protect the refugees which go outside the border of the country, those international treaties are not applicable in this case. So these people get very low protection, safety and aid from the international organization. That is a problem. So that's why we need to look into this particular internal displacement thing. So 33 million new displacement took place in 2019, and it is highest since 2012. Highest since 2012. Before 2012 there were some new additions which were more than 33 million, but after 2012 it has happened for the first time that 33 million people have been displaced, and that happened in 2019. See, the report came in 2020, but obviously the data came from 2019. Also, your region South Asia again has the highest share of new displacement. I'm talking about new displacement. I'm not talking about historical and legacy displacement. Right now we are talking about the new displacement only, that is 33 million. And in that 33 million, South Asia has the highest share. Okay, so we are talking about 2019. So what about total number? Total number of internally displaced people in the world today is 50 million. It has the legacy data also, historical data also. So what are the causes of displacement, internal displacement? See, conflict, violence. There might be natural disasters also, for example, earthquake, tsunami, and also Eurostorm, tropical storms. 18.3 million internally displaced people were children under 15, and 3.7 million people were over the age of 60. So you can consider that people who are and below the age of 15, the children, and the people, senior citizens who are above the age of 60, they are the one of the most marginalized sections of the society, or you can say the weak sections of the society. Children haven't grown properly, and in their formative years itself, a schooling year itself, they are getting displaced. So that's a major problem. Out of 33 million, you have 18 million who are children or senior citizens. So that's a grave situation. Okay, so first of all, I told you that the causes for the internal displacement will be conflict, violence and disaster. So we will group this thing, conflict and violence, together, and we will group this entire thing, disaster, together, and try to study what are its impact and the data. So due to violence and conflict, all time high 45 million people, that is 3/4, the all time high 45 million people have been displaced historically. Okay, taking the total data of internally displaced people, conflict and violence has caused the displacement of 45 million people. And also out of that 45 million, just 10 countries particularly are making 3/4 of that 45 million. So in that 10 countries, what are the top 5 countries where highest displacement has taken place due to conflict and violence? If you know the international relation, the global scenario, you will understand that Syria, refugee crisis, you remember? So in Syria also, not all places are seeing the same violence. So people will internally migrate and displace themselves according to the situation and fear. So Syria, Democratic Republic of Congo, I already told you, Congo has problem. Ethiopia, Burkina Faso and Afghanistan also, because of Taliban issue, people are shifting from here and there. So we have studied about the conflict and violence factor. Also there are disasters also, environmental disaster, right? So 24 million new displacements have happened. 24 million new displacement have happened because of disasters. And this is also the highest figure since 2012. See, the overall figure is highest since 2012, and the people getting displaced because of natural disasters is also highest number since 2012. Due to conflict and violence, it is not highest number since 2012. So out of two components of internal displacement, disaster causes displacement of 24 million people in 2019, and that is highest since 2012. You have to remember that. Much of this displacement took place in the form of preemptive evacuation. For example, suppose a tropical storm is coming at some place, and the government issues a notification that you have to vacate this place. So people are vacating and they are shifting to other districts also, other villages also, other urban centers also. That is preemptive evacuation. And it happens sometimes that people evacuate themselves and their houses are destroyed. So they generally get used to live in the same place only, the next place only. So that is preemptive इवैक्यूएशन. बचने के लिए पहले ही वहाँ से निकल जाना, ये बहुत बड़ा रीज़न बना है इंटरनली डिस्प्लेसमेंट होने का लोगों का. इंडिया में कई साइक्लोन वगैरह आए थे, जैसे फनी, वायु, बुलबुल. कैन यू टेल मी इन द कमेंट सेक्शन दैट हाउ आर द साइक्लोन नेम्स डिसाइडेड इन पर्टिकुलर योर इंडियन ओशन रीजन, which body and how the terming is done? सबका अलग अलग नाम होता है, वायु, बुलबुल, फनी, कभी कुछ और नाम होता है, बांग्लादेश का नाम होता है, कभी पाकिस्तान का होता है। तो ये आप जो है एक बार कमेंट में बताइए, क्योंकि ये थोड़ा सा कॉन्सेप्चुअल टॉपिक है एंड आई डोंट थिंक कि मेनी ऑफ द पीपल विल बी एबल टू प्रोड्यूस एन आंसर टू दिस. सो लेट अस सी हु डज दैट. आई विल रीड ऑल द कमेंट्स एनीवे. So cyclones along with the southwest monsoon and droughts also came. Southwest monsoon sometimes was very severe, sometimes was not severe, very low. So that both of the extreme situations create problem and cause internal displacement. And the droughts, obviously, if your agriculture is not happening properly, okay, if your if your livelihood is affected, so obviously you will shift to another place. Also, this report also mentions some noted efforts worldwide against the internal displacement or for securing the displacement of the people or not letting them get displaced so that they stay at a place, earn their livelihood and they live happily. For example, consider country Nigeria and Somalia. They have what they have done, they have improved their policy frameworks on internal displacement. So there are new policies which protect the people and people are not getting displaced internally to large extent. Nigeria and Somalia have done commendable work. What about Afghanistan? Okay, fine. In the ranking, Afghanistan is also at a very low place, right? But still, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Philippines have tried to incorporate displacement in their development plans. What they have done, that they have taken learning from Sendai framework of disaster risk reduction, and they have included that framework, the learnings from the Sendai framework, in their government policies. So this is helping them. This is helping them protect their people from internal displacement. Can you comment in the comment section that is Sendai framework? What is Sendai framework and what is Hyogo framework or Hyogo protocol? I think this topic relates to disaster management and it is in your UPSC syllabus very clearly mentioned. So I think you should find an answer to Sendai framework and Hyogo framework for disaster risk reduction and produce an answer. A small intro only, one paragraph or 3-4 lines. Where was the meeting conducted? What are the outcomes? And what India is doing for the Sendai framework? Can you please mention that in the comment? So in the same report, we come to India now. What is Indian story regarding internal displacement? In India, 5 million people were displaced in India in 2019 and it is highest in the world. So internal displacement happened in all over the world or in all the country, but particularly in India it was 5 million people. मतलब कि 50 लाख लोग जो हैं इंडिया में डिस्प्लेस हुए और ये वर्ल्ड का हाईएस्ट फिगर है इंटरनल डिस्प्लेसमेंट में. रीजंस क्या है? इंडिया में जो है आपकी इंटेंसिटी जो है हज़ार्ड की, नेचुरल हज़ार्ड की, वो बढ़ी है. पॉपुलेशन भी आपकी बहुत ज़्यादा है. इफ़ यू हैव मोर पॉपुलेशन, यू हैव मोर पीपल गेटिंग अफेक्टेड, यू हैव लेस रिसोर्सेज एंड देयर आर नेचुरल हज़ार्ड्स ऑल्सो. दे हैव इंक्रीज इन इंटेंसिटी बिकॉज योर वेदर एंड क्लाइमेट इज अफेक्टेड बाई मानसून एंड दैट इज़ वेरी अनप्रेडिक्टेबल. Social and economic vulnerability is also present in India. For example, if you see the natural causes, the southwest monsoon, more than 2.6 million people suffered displacement because of southwest monsoon. In 2019, we had seen the warmest year since 1901. You should remember that last year we had seen the warmest or hottest year since 1901. In fact, Delhi was very cold, so very warm, very hot, and the monsoon was the wettest in 25 years. Here it is not written, but actually we had seen the winter chills also very harsh. Delhi was very cold since it was more than many decades, and the monsoon was wettest in 25 years. So very high rainfall. That means there were some floods in some locations where there was no rain previously. They had seen the floods, so that also caused internal displacement, and that caused the displacement of 2.6 million people in India. Cyclones like Fani and Bulbul, I already told you. 5,90,000 people live in internal displacement as a result of disasters in India today. Okay, in India total 5,90,000 people live in internal displacement condition because of natural disaster. And the other component, conflicts and violence. What is India's situation in these things? 90,000 people, not many, 90,000 people got displaced due to conflict and violence, particularly political violence. Remember the election of Tripura and West Bengal? So many violence between BJP and Trinamool and left parties. So that caused the displacement of almost 90,000 people. That is the data. So I told you about the report, but which organization releases this report? This organization, Internal Displacement Monitoring Center. But this organization is not as a standalone organization. This organization was established in 1998 as a part of Norwegian Refugee Council. It is an NGO. So the parent organization is Norwegian Refugee Council This Norwegian Refugee Council is an NGO, and that NGO established in 1998 an organization, or you can say center, Internal Displacement Monitoring Center. That Internal Displacement Monitoring Center only releases this report. And the purpose of this Internal Displacement Monitoring Center is to protect the rights of people affected by displacement. Very obviously, it provides high quality data, does the analysis, it has the expertise on internal displacement, and the aim of the organization is that, center is that, with having this expertise, analysis and data, it will provide it to policymakers, and then the policymakers can take operational decisions, and it will reduce the risk of internal displacement of the people. That is what Afghanistan, Nigeria have done, है ना? They have taken the learning from Internal Displacement Monitoring Center and included that learning, that data, that analysis and expertise in their policies to protect their people. You can see the map. It is Internal Displacement Update. It is released by Internal Displacement Monitoring Center only. So you can see the hotspot areas, right, in Africa. In here we have seen the cyclone and all. That's why. Now come to a very small topic, a special 301 report. First of all, this report is not released by any United Nations organization or an NGO. It is released by United States government organization, USTR, that is United States Trade Representative, and it is released annually, and the report says about adequacy and effectiveness of its trading partners. Which trading partners? United States trading partners, regarding their protection of intellectual property rights. See, US wants all the countries to protect intellectual property, because US has so much of expertise in innovation and invention. So they produce some product, but the product is not allowed to have the fair share of its intellectual property in other countries, particularly developing country. US is very sad about India's policy on medicines, on generic medicines. So US wants other countries to protect intellectual property rights so that it can reap the benefit, economic benefit from intellectual property right for the inventions which were done in United States, and the USTR for that only releases special 301 report. Now the question arises, what is 301? 301 is the section 301 of the United States that deals with some trade related things. That's why it is named as special 301 report. So trading partners that currently present in the most significant concerns regarding IP rights or intellectual property rights are placed on the priority watch list. The US classifies the countries according to their intellectual property right protection in that country and makes a priority watch list of those countries which are not very well in protecting the intellectual property rights. And India continues to. India is always categorized as priority watch list country. So again in this report, a special 301 report of this year, India was placed in priority watch list. You can see the map, color coding, a special 301 report. This is 2013, okay? So don't worry, 2013 also India was in priority watch list. You can see that. All these countries, India, China, Russia, in priority watch list. As I told you, US has particularly concerns about India's restrictions in pharmaceutical sector, and India also having custom duty, high custom duty. Remember Harley Davidson of Trump, medical devices, and also India doesn't have a properly centralized IP enforcement agency. US says that. So these are the problems US says that India is creating, and that is why India is also placed in priority watch list since 2013, or maybe before that only. You can see the map and you can see the date. Our next report is very good one, Trends in World Military Expenditure 2019 report. It came in 2020, but the data is of 2019. That is why the report is called Trends in World Military Expenditure 2019 report. It is released by SIPRI. I will tell you about the SIPRI later, don't worry. SIPRI says that total military expenditure in the world today in 2019 was $1,917 billion, and it was 2.2% of the total global GDP or gross domestic product. So what you do, you add the GDP of all countries together and you add their military expenditure together. So military expenditure made 2.2% of the global GDP in 2019. That was the report about the global level. And the report also says that annual growth in 2019 over 2018 was largest in military expenditure since 2010. So when you measure the growth of a country according to the GDP, you can also measure the growth in military expenditure, okay, depending on the previous data. So when we compare the 2018-2019 data, so the annual growth in military expenditure was highest in 2010. And you remember, for internally displaced people, and this thing maximum came since 2012, right? So here also the annual growth in military expenditure came maximum after 2010. so these things you remember, okay? 2010 के बाद सबसे ज़्यादा ग्रोथ हुई है, 2012 के बाद सबसे ज़्यादा लोग इंटरनली डिस्प्लेस हुए हैं, ऐसे आप याद रखिए. Also, world military burden followed a declining trend in 2010-19, decreasing every year except 2015 and 2019. So here you are saying that 2019 was the maximum largest military expenditure growth, and now you are saying that the military burden decreased. So what is that? See, military burden is military expenditure as a share of GDP. Okay, that for example, suppose India's GDP is 5 rupees, and out of that India spends 2 rupees on military. So India's military burden is how much? According to this 2 out of 5, India's military expenditure or military burden will be 40%, right? 2 out of 5, 40%. So this particular military burden is decreasing according to the GDP, but the annual growth of a standalone military expenditure, that is highest since 2010. That you have to remember. But also remember that in 2015 and 2019, this military burden was not decreasing. It's except in 2010 to 19 we had seen the declining trend. But in 2015 and 2019, it was an exception and military burden was not declining. Remember that. So see the trends in World Military Expenditure 2019 report more detail. Among the biggest spender in 2019, India is ranked at third, and the first country, the maximum expenditure for military comes from USA. We all know that. And the second place is taken by China. You see, this chart came in 2020 report only. 2018. Okay, fine. Again, but the same share is happening. USA maximum share, then comes China. Okay, and this is data for India, that is at third place. Okay. But when we see in the South Asia, obviously India is at the top. India's military expenditure, since if you compare the two decades, 2090 to 2019, actually 3 decades, India's military expenditure has grown by 259% in 3 decades. And if you compare 2010 to 2019, that is the last decade, India's military expenditure grew by 37%. But that military expenditure has grown, but not as a share of its GDP. So the military burden fell from 2.7% of GDP in 2010 to 2.4% of GDP in 2019. Remember that military burden is decreasing as a share of GDP, but overall military expenditure is obviously increasing. So if you see the correlation, GDP increasing, GDP growth rate is more than military expenditure growth rate. That is why it is happening. So now we should know about the organization SIPRI, which releases it. See, this is a Stockholm-based international peace research institute. Stockholm means capital of Sweden. Stockholm International Peace Research Institute is the name of the organization. It is also an NGO, so it is an independent international institute, and it is dedicated towards the research in conflict, armament, arm control, and also disarmament. That is why it releases the trends in World Military Expenditure report and tells about the nations that, see, you are spending too much in military and not for the developmental work, so look upon that. Now coming to our last topic, Global Terrorism Index. See, this report is released annually by one Australia-based institute. The name is Economics and Peace. Okay, IEP, Economics and Peace. But the report is released by Economics and Peace Institute. But data it fetches from that organization is START. Data comes from a START. And what is a START? A study of terrorism and response to terrorism. And that START institution is based in University of Maryland. So University of Maryland's START, that is Study of Terrorism and Response to Terrorism, that organization releases the data, and this organization, Economics and Peace, collates that data and releases Global Terrorism Index. It analyzes the impact of terrorism on total 163 countries, and those 163 countries are covering the world's 99.7% population. What does it do? In this report, it says that terrorist attacks are affecting the countries over past 5 years. Okay, 5 years only it will account for. So this report will look into the effect of terrorist attacks in different countries over the last 5 years. This is not about that which country is a terrorist and which country is not a terrorist. It will just see that which countries are affected by terrorism in the last 5 years. So what is India's situation? India has been ranked as the 7th worst terrorism affected country. So the first country which is at top will be the worst affected country from terrorism. India is placed at 7th position, okay, in Global Terrorism Index 2019. And India ahead of the conflict-ridden countries such as South Sudan, Burkina Faso, Palestine, those countries only. See the situation of the India. India is ahead of the conflict-ridden countries such as South Sudan. That means they are ranked lower and they are considered less affected by terrorism. So the Niti Aayog came into action and Niti Aayog said that this data, this indexing is not right. We are not affected more than these countries like South Sudan, Burkina Faso. We have a very good security safety infrastructure and our government is doing very well. So that's why Niti Aayog objected. So do you think the objection of Niti Aayog is right? To part, yes. Actually, there is no comprehensive, particular, very specific definition of terrorism. And India proposed in United Nations that you should have a proper definition of terrorism, and that document is called as See, this is the document India proposed, Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. India proposed this in United Nations, but many countries are apprehensive about that. If this definition is included, maybe many countries, government, police, government, army will also be included in terrorist. So that's why they are objecting to it. You should know the resolution number. Resolution is 51 by 210. And it was proposed in 1996 on terrorism in United Nations General Assembly, but it was not accepted by the other countries, many countries. So the resolution is still pending, that you should know. So that's what it is written there. The large diversity in definition of terrorism among countries, different definition in different countries, and a lack of universally accepted consensus made definition of terrorism is creating this problem. And India is ranked at 7th position, ahead of South Sudan, Burkina Faso and Palestine in Global Terrorism Index, that is India's objections. So this is it, and the lecture ends here. And bonus is that we will be giving you our Telegram channel link in the description below, so you can download this PDF from there and you can revise accordingly. So that was it. Meet you tomorrow with the new lecture. Thank you.